Sure. My name is John Paul Sazon with Century 21 Crystal Cellar, and I own a real estate and mortgage brokerage out here in the California area. I've been doing this for about 11 years. I went to high school out here in Walnut and undergrad at UCR, and I really appreciate you taking your time on the day to interview myself. And I guess the first question is, or the only question is what would I tell my 17-year-old self? That's the question, right?
Mhm.
And your dad had asked me that question too. The first thing and probably the only thing I would probably tell my 17-year-old self is to try harder.
Mhm.
I have this thing that whatever the first thing comes up in your mind is usually the right answer. And it took me about 2 minutes to think about it. It didn't really take me that long to think about it, or maybe even half, or maybe less than a minute to come up with that solution. And the reason why I say that is when you're 17, a lot of times we think to ourselves that we have time, right? Which is right, you have time, and that I can always correct myself later in the line, or whatever it may be, procrastination, or you're busy, trying to be cool, right? I think that's a big thing in high school. I took a lot of time being cool, which is being cool means not doing your schoolwork, which means you're not trying.
Yeah.
Right. And what I've experienced is over time now that I'm 35 is, and that's not that old still, I don't think, right? You'll see time lapse and you'll see how people progress in life. And it's very difficult to make up for lost time. Sorry. It's very difficult to make up for lost time. Right. So if you let the time lapse and say, hey, you know what, it's time for me to try hard at school. And it's been 15, 20 years. And you haven't done school in 15 or 20 years or 10 years or 4 or 5 years, whatever it may be, it's hard to get back in that rhythm.
Yeah.
And to make up for lost time. So I always tell people, the one thing I can tell you at 17 years old is you want to give every day of your life 121% every day of your life, because you can never buy time back. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, definitely trying harder and applying yourself is definitely something that a lot of people, young people especially, might not always want to do. Try harder in school, it's like the worst thing you want to do. So definitely, I completely understand. Is there anything that you've learned along the way that in your journey of where you are now, becoming so successful, that you'd say was very helpful and beneficial in your career and where you are now? And it's like, wow, if I had not done that thing, I probably would not have been where I am right now.
It's probably, that is like a loaded question, because there's tons of things I can say about that, right? But my company we have 3 core values, and one of the core values that I came up with is grit. And grit is just tenacity, whatever it takes to get the job done, right? I think people fail to understand that success is not that far away, but if you're not willing to take and roll with the punches and stick in there and try and have grit, then it's going to be difficult to become successful, right?
Yeah.
So the one word I can summon it would be grit, because it's all encompassing, that word, in regards to, there's a book called by Angela Duckett, the book's name is Grit, and that's what it takes, that mental capacity to acknowledge that you are capable of doing it. You just really have to dig deep down inside and fight to ensure that you get to the goals that you're trying to get to, right? So I think that would be the thing. Patience, right? You have to be patient in business, because people want like immediate satisfaction, like, oh, I'm going to do this business and I'm going to be a millionaire overnight. No, I've never seen anyone get into a business and become a millionaire overnight. Businesses are built over time, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you've got to have the grit to stay in that marathon.
Definitely. Is there anything that you'd say to a 17-year-old who might not be looking to go down the traditional path of like college and school and getting a diploma and stuff, who might not necessarily know what they want to do, but know they want to have their own business or they want to take control of their life. Is there anything maybe like that they can incorporate in their daily lives, anything they can learn, anything that you think they should go through
So
that could help?
If you don't plan to go to school or college after, right? The biggest thing I'm gonna tell anybody is do not stop learning. If you don't want to go to school to learn, pick up a book and read, go on YouTube and watch a video, figure out and have a clear vision, take time, sit down and have a clear vision of what you want your life to look in 5, 10, 20 years, right? And if the business you're going to choose can provide that life, then, and you'll be passionate and you'll enjoy that business, then that is the business for you. The problem is, I think people take too much time. Like you go to undergrad, right? And you go undecided and you go finish some random degree and then you still don't know what you're doing, right? People in life that are, I think are successful are, number one, they're not indecisive, they're decisive, right? And unfortunately, that's might be a personality trait that might be hard to have if that's not your personality, right? But if you take the time and sit down and really think and say, hey, do I want to have kids? Do I want to have a house? Do I want to have XYZ? And what things do I enjoy that I excel at that I could start a business in, right? Do I like to work out? Is it a gym or whatever it may be? You know, am I interested in finance? Am I going to open up my own mortgage brokerage like myself or real estate brokerage or whatever it is? You've got to find a passion that you like, that you can feed into a business that will make it feel as if you're not working every day of your life. I think your dad told me one day, like, I don't feel like I work. I am the same way. I don't feel like I work. Like every day I go to work, I'm enjoying myself, right?
That's great.
The quicker you find out what passion you have that can generate you that income that's going to make you happy and fulfilled, the better it would be for everybody, especially at 17.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there any last thing that you might want to throw out? Something that you've learned, a quote, something that you really enjoyed learning from that you'd like to just throw out there while we wrap this up?
Yeah, there's a quote that I'd like to leave for you guys, and I'll just pull it up because I don't have that quote memorized. And Steve Jobs, it's a Steve Jobs quote, right? And the reason why I like it so much is I've never been, I think most people that run a business, majority of people that run a business are, number one, crazy, right? And they're oddballs, or else they go work for a company and take their job. And this is what I'll leave for you guys. It's here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs, and the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules. They have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they can change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as crazy ones, we see geniuses, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Wow. That's really powerful.
Yeah, it's like one of my all-time favorite quotes.
That's an amazing one. Thank you so much for sharing, and I really appreciate you taking your time, talking with me, and sharing so much great information that I know will just help me so much in my career.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Tell your dad I said hi.
Of course I will. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.